Good evening, everyone. This is Wayne, and this is the video version of the trade report for Tuesday, April 10th, 2018. Well, the markets got quite a boost in the extended session last evening as President Xi of China reassured the world that everything would be just fine. But will it? Stay tuned to find out more. Greetings, everyone. Thank you once again for spending part of your day as I go over the events and the price action of the financial markets. And we had quite an extended session last night, as I alluded to in the intro. Everything looked like it was just gonna kind of stay in a nice little range as we moved into today's regular session. However, when President Xi began speaking, the markets liked what they heard. And then they decided that they were absolutely thrilled with what they heard. And then they just decided that they were in a state of ecstasy. Well, I did short the market last night. You did what? This is what's known as an extended, exaggerated, overbought condition. And as a trader, you have to acknowledge and recognize that when it happened. So I shorted it right about here and I exited right about here. It was about a $1,600 profit on the trade. You do not get opportunities like that very often, especially in the extended session, but I had to do it. When you see an opportunity in the market, you just have to trade your plan. And this is a trading strategy I've been using for literally decades. Now, you may ask, well, why didn't you trade to the upside? You saw the market moving higher. Why didn't you buy the market when it was going up? And that's a valid question. But when a market's already in a move, you don't know how long that move is going to be. You have no idea when it's going to turn around, but you do know it will turn around. So you're looking for the signs of it turning around. And that's what I did. And I'm using my indicators. The 2647 level I'm looking at as a very powerful resistance level. It blew through that, but I knew it wouldn't last very long. And sure enough, it came right back down through it. So at any rate, these are the things that I look for when I'm watching the market in the overnight session, the extended session. And these are definitely the exception and not the rule as far as that particular opportunity. But that's why I watch the market in the extended session. You just never know when you're going to get an opportunity like that. So as we move on from that, we see how the market retested the high, came back down again, and I'm in bed by now as far as this price action where I'm leading right now. And then we basically went sideways into the open. That told me two things. One, there was very little interest in participating in the extended session beyond this move here, and that the markets pretty much acquiesced to the fact that they were fine being in alignment with the high of the previous day. That, from a technical standpoint, told me that this market had the potential to move even higher in today's session. However, as always, we never take anything for granted. And of course, we moved down for the first half hour of the trading day. Then we caught a bid, went sideways for a while, and then a couple of sell programs, some computer-driven trading models, some algorithms we call them, came in and kind of tried to sell the market down. But it was caught back up again, and we had a nice move to the upside. Just got a buy signal in the Dow futures. And then we kind of moved to the downside into the close. But remember when I talk about the developing point of control, which is this line right here, the market just dutifully moved down off of a resistance level of 2666 and just kind of dropped nicely into this little pocket where the DPOC is, the developing point of control. Today was a very bullish session. Surprisingly, I wasn't expecting this. If you watched last night's video, you know that I had a very bearish bias on the market. I was looking at this market probably going lower. However, the binary event of President Xi coming on and apparently saying all the right things really inspired the market, and the market was in dire need of inspiration after the last couple of trading days just getting whipsawed all around. This obviously counts as a whipsaw as well, but at the same time, it had gone down on Friday, went up yesterday, then back down again, now back up again in the extended session. Where is it going next? Oh my gosh, don't even ask the question. But then we went sideways quietly, opened the session, kind of bounced around. It was a little choppy, but we ended up in a nice trend as we went into the close with a very textbook move back down to the Deepak. That tells me that tomorrow is going to be higher unless we get another binary event in the extended session. So the caveat I'm placing on tomorrow's price action, which I do believe will be bullish, is contingent upon a binary event possibly occurring in the extended session. So what happened today in the market that was unusual, maybe a little bit out of the ordinary? Well, Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook CEO, went in front of the Senate today and began providing testimony on all of the issues associated with Cambridge Analytica and all of the 2016 election fake accounts situations, and he did very well. In fact, he did so well that Facebook stock ended up $7.11 today. I mean, it was an amazing move. It was over a 4% move. So apparently he's doing something right. And my opinion is the fact that he's subjecting himself to the US Congress and answering questions and allowing himself to be grilled in some cases is important, it's appropriate, and it's also in keeping with what the market needed in order to kind of move past this. Keep in mind, on the one hand, you've got the company Facebook and all it does, its platform, its membership, its valuation. I mean, everything associated with what Facebook is. When someone asks you, what is Facebook? And you answer that question, that's what Facebook is. On this hand, you've got FB, Facebook stock. And yes, Facebook stock is intrinsically tied to Facebook, but the stock is not the company. The stock will move in accordance with certain stories and information associated with the company, and especially during earnings season, which is the most blatant connection as it relates to the company and the stock, and how the stock moves up or down based on that metric. But everything else associated with a company oftentimes is considered to be somewhat detached from the company. And that's a dynamic that has been the case for a very long time with publicly traded companies. Now, obviously, if you have a biotech company that reports a bad clinical trial, yeah, the stock's going to go down because the medication associated with that clinical trial has everything to do with its earnings. So it's really all about how much money the company's making that is determined and assessed by all of the situations that occur with a company, how it's going to affect its stock price. So today, as Mark Zuckerberg was testifying in front of the Senate, the stock was just really breaking out. It was going higher and higher. And that's because the uncertainty is behind us. He's really doing the right thing. He's accomplishing the task of addressing the concerns and the privacy dynamics associated with his platform and the things that have been kind of floated around in the news. And the market likes that. So the market's going to reward Facebook. So Facebook went higher today. And that's You know, that just is a point. If you agree with it or not, it has to be accepted. That's just the way it goes. So that's the thing that happened today in the market that was really a somewhat unique occurrence, and for all intents and purposes, helped to support the market. Now, we obviously President Xi's comments that moved the market higher and maintained an elevated market condition going into the US regular session was the most important component of this market being higher and staying higher during the session today. So the question is, was that enough? Is there enough energy behind that pacifying of the global economy to really set the stage for this market to go higher? Now, I do have an answer for that question, but it's qualified. My answer is yes, I believe so. I think that when you have something as dynamic and broad based as the president of the second largest economic superpower in the world coming out and basically saying he wants to begin working with us to make things better, I think that helps. And obviously, as I say that, the market starts to drop. You can see the market just had a little bit of a hissy fit to the downside, about a almost a 10-point move actually. So the words I'm speaking have no effect on the market unless they do, of course. But you know, we look at the dynamics that have presented themselves to the market over the last 24 hours, and we look at where the market is currently trading and where it traded during the regular session. And I think this market is poised to move higher. Now, Friday, we've got JP Morgan, Citigroup, and Wells Fargo, all three major banks reporting earnings before the open. That is going to be huge. If all of them hit their numbers or higher, I'm going to make a really outlandish prediction here. I think the Dow could go up 1,000 points. I I know that sounds like craziness, but what's going to happen is all of those market participants who think we're going to go lower and are short this market, when the algorithms hit, if and when those banks make their earnings and all of them start going higher and the rest of the market starts moving higher in unison, the algorithms are going to kick in and begin buying as well. And when that happens, stops are going to get hit and shorts are going to be forced to cover. And it's going to be this self-fulfilling prophecy of upside action. This thing could actually just totally take off to the upside. I think that is a very real possibility and has a relatively high probability of occurring. Now, I am not telling anybody to go out and buy banks. I'm not telling anyone to go out and buy anything. I'm just saying what I think is going to happen. And my portfolio is positioned for an up move at this point. I went through and basically reapportioned, I guess, my portfolio, and I'm now net long. I still have my hedges, but I'm now net long. So I'm protected to the downside, but I will be more benefited from a move to the upside. And of course, the way that I position my portfolio positions is I give myself time for my positions to work. So if this particular little move that's beginning to develop gets any legs and really starts to take off to the downside, I'm still fine. I still have positions that are going to benefit from that move. It's not going to help my long positions, but if if recent history gives us any clue as to what we can expect, we may end up just kind of bouncing back. Now, I'm not saying that buy on the dip is back by any means, but I am saying this market seems to be beginning to have a penchant for upside action. It wants to go higher. And as we know, that's the natural gravity anyway. But when sentiment begins to follow the natural gravity and momentum becomes part of the equation, then the market is ready to move. And I think today might have been the day that sent a signal to the rest of the market that we're ready to go higher. And now I will tell you that I could be totally off base. I could be completely wrong in my assessment, and I am absolutely willing to accept that. However, my read of the market, my take, my sense, my intuitive approach to the market is telling me that this may be that point in time when the markets begin to just say enough is enough and it's time to go higher. So that's where I'm at right now. So we had a bunch of stocks that did go higher today. In fact, virtually all of them did. So I'm not going to show them all to you. But at the same time, I do want to, of course, give you a little Amazon shot. Which I was a little disappointed in Amazon. It only went up $30. Yeah, I know. I'm a kind of a spoiled Amazon brat. Amazon should have been up $50 today. It really should have been. So I'm a little disappointed, and I don't have any more. I got rid of my Amazon. I'm done for now. I need to see Amazon do something a little bit more important, and I think it's gotten a little gun shy because of all the Trump tweets. So we'll see what happens. The other stock I want to show you is Tesla. I actually bought a put in Tesla today. So if you recall, I said you could take a spec trade to the long side in Tesla last week. Well, I decided that it's time to take a spec trade to the downside because this thing has kind of begun to top out. And I think Tesla's going to go down. And Goldman Sachs came out today and lowered its price target and downgraded Tesla. So we'll see if that takes hold. Again, it's a spec trade to the downside. It's a very small position. If it picks up some steam and we can retest this low. Oh my goodness, I'd be a happy camper. But I'd be very happy if we just went down to this, which is a reasonable level to expect to fall. So we'll see if that happens. What else did I do today that I want to show you the stock of? Netflix. Netflix is coming up on earnings, and I got out of that chart. Okay, let's pull up Netflix. All right, so we've got. Okay, so there's Netflix. Netflix once again hit its head on that 618, and for the life of me, I can't figure out why it's unable to get through that level. Now, if we go higher tomorrow, if we open up higher, I think Netflix will finally kind of get a little bit of a and make it up to that 1272, which is 301.55. Then it can begin moving up a little higher, and I think it has a chance to go to 320. Actually, I take that back. I am looking at this 319. So we'll see if that plays out. So at any rate, I'm looking at Netflix. Its earnings are next Monday after the close. So I don't know. We'll see. And then Facebook. Let's just kind of take a real quick look at that, and then I'll show you the VIX, and we'll be done. Facebook, I think, is a breakout with today's action. If there is confirmation tomorrow and it moves higher than the Kijun line here, if it moves higher than what level is that? What price level is that? That is 167.50. If it moves higher than 167.50, I think it's a buy. And if it goes above the 200 period moving average of 173, I think it's probably going to end up closing the gap up here at about 183. And all of these stocks are going into their earnings. So their earnings runs are on the table now. All right, so the last thing I want to show you is the VIX. And the VIX, once again, has just not been conforming. It ended the day down $1.30. It kind of began to move lower as the market began to come into the close. And it was almost like it was not really believing that the market was up and was going to stay up. But ultimately, it began to move in the direction that led me to believe that it's beginning to accept the fact that the market was higher and may even go higher. So I am looking for a move lower in the VIX. In fact, if we see an 18 print tomorrow, it would not surprise me. So we'll see how that plays out. But that's about it for the day. Um, we'll see how things play out in the overnight session. And the other thing is, Nvidia got a nice upgrade today. So we'll see if the upgrade actually follows through tomorrow. Nvidia ended up $12.50 today. So a very interesting move. In fact, let's just really quick. I'll just show you that chart really quick since I brought it up. It's kind of fun to look at these charts that have absolutely taken the market by storm. And this is the daily. Yeah, it's the daily chart of Nvidia. And yeah, you can see how it just absolutely popped higher. And it did fill the gap, or did it? Not really. But a nice big up move today. And I think it has an opportunity to move up even further. The price target on it was like 250, I think. Currently, it's trading at 227.91. I think a move tomorrow up to 235 is reasonable. I'm not in this one because the chip sector has been a little bit more volatile than I'm interested in trading, but I am looking at this, and I'm also looking at Intel and Micron Technology. So if I get into one of those, I'll let you know. But for now, just watching the chip sector. Looks like we're getting a little bit of relief from that down move that I was telling you about. But at the same time, I don't know. This market is full of surprises, bottom line. So again, tomorrow, looking for some upside. And we do have the FOMC minutes that are going to come out at 2 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. That can oftentimes create a little bit of movement in the market because there are algorithms associated with the information in those minutes. And it is one of those events that the market does tend to get a little bit shaky and volatile around. So I'm not expecting a big move out of that, but we'll see how it all plays out. So anyway, until then, trade safe, trade what you see if you choose to trade at all. Good night and good trading.